Scene 23 beta, take 1.
Camera is set. Camera is set.
Action.
You know what's better than a day at the beach? A day in hell.
You're okay. You're okay.
Based on the timeline of doing the film, I needed to finish the script immediately. I knew that the script that I had in mind previously was not going to be plausible for the money that we had. So I had to go back to the drawing board. Jessica was the first call when I got this project. I was like, obviously we worked on Jealousy and Finding Power together. I really want to work with you again on this.
When Cody first approached me about this project, it was with a very short timeline. We had about a month for pre-production and then 3 months max for post.
So I knew that we were going to film at her parents' property, so I tried to make sure that the script worked toward being shot there. And then the idea for the story of Rose's Last Session, I had literally 4 days to write the script, or maybe 3 days at that point, based on the timeline we gave ourselves. And so the pressure was on, and I was just sitting there and I was thinking about, what do I want to say with this film? I really kind of dug deep into myself to find a story that kind of dealt with real issues in a way. I mean, obviously it's dramatized, you know, this character is killing people. I really thought about my own personal mental health struggles, and when you look in the mirror, some days you don't recognize yourself and what that does to you. If you're having like a really sad moment, or you're having a moment of weakness, that was what I thought about. And when I had that thought, I said, what if it's this girl who thinks she's one person, but she's actually someone else? And then the idea of it being her seeking therapy for what she's going through, it just all started to just snowball from there. And then before you know it, I had this fully realized idea, and I just started typing, and in 3 days wrote the script. So first part of pre-production after the script was written was casting. And Jessica was our casting director for this film, and we chose really amazing actors for these roles. And there is a longer, separate documentary on casting alone, so make sure you check that out on my YouTube channel as well. Anytime I write a script, I see the movie in my head. So I had like really clear ideas on certain scenes, and then Jessica brought a lot to the table too in what she saw.
Part of the process of pre-production is traditionally a shot list and storyboarding. We didn't have a ton of time. However, having that sort of visual representation of what Cody and I wanted to be portrayed on screen, so that Hunter was able to do that for us.
So Jessica and I went to the location maybe about a week or two before we started filming, and we kind of planned out our shots. And then they go on their way out the door.
Holding hands.
Skip-diddy-doo, my darling. Running around the property and basically showing pretty much the entire film from beginning to end. We kind of mapped out what we wanted.
And there is a lot of really ridiculous footage of me dramatically, terribly acting out what we wanted to be seen on camera.
And then Arthur's over here, tied up, like,
Jennifer's dead.
No, she isn't.
She did. I held her until her last breath.
But he's crazy, so like maybe he's like,
Her.
kill, 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 kill. She's crazy.
It's not overly professional, but it accomplishes the goal of this is what we want to see on screen. And Hunter, bless him, took it and ran with it. He was like, yeah, okay, I get it. And he brought it to life in such an incredible way. He has such an eye. He took our ridiculous, terrible, shaky, awful, over dramatized version of the film and made it an art.
It's all black.
It starts
It's just
now.
pitch black.
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
Is it just a cheating thing? Like, I don't need to touch it because
No, you don't need
So I'm just gonna go in and then.
We had a very, very limited budget. So we tried to do our best with breaking that down into, okay, what do we need for pre-production? Because I did all of the wardrobe design. You know, obviously there are some special effects. And so some of those wardrobe pieces had to be provided by production because they were going to be ruined. And so being really mindful about how that was spent. And then in looking at what was remaining, we realized that we had about 4 days to shoot this entire feature film.
I've never worked like on such an intense schedule. And so it really required us to all be on our toes. You know, a lot of the takes, we only had 1 or 2 takes. And so you had to be really on top of it. And it was definitely challenging, but I think in a way that I really appreciated. I really enjoyed having my fellow cast and crew there to support me. It was an incredibly supportive environment, and it felt very like positively challenging for me because it required me to be so on top of it and know my character so well and like live in her body very completely.
Seeing how fast we were going to have to make this is very, very scary, but at the same time kind of exciting because, you know, there's so much on the line. It's a fun experience to look back on. It's like, hey, we did this in 4 days. That is a big, like, we got to tip our hats to everybody because we worked overtime. Everyone was exhausted. It was a lot of fun.
This was actually my first feature film. I've done short films before. And so then the daunting task of learning it all very quickly and shooting it all in 4 days. I think my part took 2 days. So it was a quick kind of crash course. That said, there had to be a lot of trust with each other. And I felt, especially some of the things that we were doing and the places that we wanted to explore truthfully. And I felt that from Cody. That there was kind of this like gentle safety net allowing us to work through it and explore and be vulnerable. I truthfully mean this. I don't know that I would have wanted my first film to be any other way. It was really a wonderful experience, and I don't think every actor gets that, so I'm really grateful for that.
If you get cold, there are extra blankets in the closet right here.
Okay, thank you.
I remember there was one point where someone came up to me and they were like,
Day number 1 on set. How are we feeling today?
I remember saying,
Behind schedule, but we will be behind until we wrap. So.
and I think that kind of encompasses how I feel about the whole thing.
I just got to really just give my hats off to the crew as well. I feel like the crew in a lot of movies and films and productions don't get enough love because they're not seen.
This film would not have been possible without our crew. I mean, the cast as well. Obviously, they showed up. They were very prepared. They knew their lines, which was so important with how quickly we were filming. The crew just really put their heart and soul into this film, and the amount of hours we did and being on your feet all day, it's hard work. They showed up and they were dedicated and just brought so much to the film. We could not have done it without every single one of them. Everyone's just such a joy to work with and makes you come to set feeling like, I know today's going to be a good day regardless of what happens because I'm with these people and because these people are going to bring out the best in me and are going to be there for me and support our vision. So that's always exciting.
I love the crew. I always like talking to the crew. They're always just there vibing and like, it is so much fun to work with them.
I'm really proud of us. Cody and I have worked together on multiple different projects now. And we're very much like, I think we're like siblings. I love him to death. And I think he feels the same way. But we somehow manage to read each other's minds a lot of the time when we're on a set. Somehow it works, you know. He brings a lot of creativity to the table, and you know, he has a really unique perspective when it comes to directing just because he has written the project.
But it does look really
It does
nice
look good.
with her on the ground.
Jessica brought a lot to the table too in what she saw, and also her being a woman and being able to bring a female perspective to the character of Rose was very important. She's just an asset to have on any project because of her skill set, because of her experience and knowledge of film. If you couldn't tell, she wasn't listening to our directions, so we tied her.
Yeah, this is what we do to our actors who misbehave.
Slander. Absolute lies and slander.
Actually, she's a great sport.
I'm reasonably well behaved.
I think working with two directors is a really cool experience. It's something that I've done previously in theater, and I always really enjoy seeing the way that two directors collaborate, the way that they match each other's strengths and like fill in each other's blanks. And I felt like that was definitely happening on the set of Rose's last session. Like I could tell that there was like a very close bond between them and that they were able to like know how to match each other's energy very well.
Working with Cody and Jessica on this film was great. They worked very well together. They offset each other perfectly, kept each other in check perfectly. It was amazing to watch them as you're sitting there preparing for your scene and watching them work at the same time. It was a learning experience for me to watch them work so well together.
So Cody and Jessica are very different directors, which is why they could work so well together. And then they bring their creativity together and create some cool shots.
Action. Cut. Beautiful.
Moving on.
It felt very seamless. You could obviously tell that these two people have worked together before. They had a nice rapport. They knew how to communicate with each other. They gave each other the kind of space and the bandwidth to really work together. You could tell they each had their strong suits and they really played into those.
The buck stops here!
Authorities have an eyewitness that said he saw an unidentified man grabbing her and putting her in the trunk of his car.
So in a very Hitchcock type of way, I've always loved cameos. I think that that's fun and it's something to look back on. And I myself was supposed to be the reporter on screen, but just for timing, it just wasn't going to work. So my voice makes a cameo this time around. You don't actually get to see me. So I tried to get in as many crew cameos in this film as possible. Melissa, who was our AD, she is the delivery driver at the end that gets killed, unfortunately. Christian, I wouldn't really call Christian's character a cameo because that character had a bigger presence than that, but definitely having him, who is also integral to the crew on this film, get that role was a bigger cameo, if you will. Then we have Jessica, who is my amazing co-director. She played the role of the real Rose. Then we have Caleb, who got a little cameo. He is the individual who witnesses the kidnapping of Britt. And then Lily had a short cameo as well, being one of the victims.
But many are speculating that this may be a similar abduction to one that occurred just a month ago.
That originally was supposed to be longer. I had kind of promised Lily that she would get like this really awesome death scene, and unfortunately for timing it just did not work out, but we knew we had to at least get her on screen for even just a second in this small little cameo, just to, you know, as our way to say thank you for all the hard work she did. So I'm glad that we got to get that in there as well.
I had actually worked with them previously on another project doing special effects. So that was really cool and I enjoyed working with them. And so they described the film to me and I was immediately hooked. I was like, oh my gosh, anytime just to throw blood on people sounds like a good time to me.
And then we'll just go. So it's action, blood, and then you.
Yeah, that's
do
good.
your thing.
Action, blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lily was amazing. That was so fun going in and putting on all the blood and figuring out where that was all going to go. And she's phenomenal. And that was a blast to work with all those special effects. I felt like I was in the muck of the blood and gore and all the horrorness.
Yeah, I would have, because she's going to be lined
Yeah,
out in this
you
scene.
can see how it. Okay, so where am I?
One of the people that, you know, I really liked working with was Lily. She just had so much passion for this blood and gore, and it was great because like we were just having a lot of fun, just like creating this like just some of this gory stuff, and it looked amazing.
It was interesting to see how all the practical effects work and the cost-effective ways that can make something look very real, which I thought was, fun to watch and be a part of.
I love playing with those visual effects. It was so cool working with Lily, and being covered in blood really brings you to a specific moment that some of those scenes require. It kind of elevates the experience for me. And so having her there to, make sure that I could get into that zone, whether I was wounded or wounding, really helped bring some of those moments to life, because similar to, I feel like wardrobe is such a big part of being an actor and like creating a character. And my wardrobe was very important to me and for me for this. And I really would consider the blood and the effects part of that wardrobe as well. And I think that they were integral to creating Rose and Jennifer and Arthur.
I loved all the scenes that required special effects. Some of these sound challenging because we were on such a time crunch, but we found a way to get it done, and I feel like it translated beautifully on screen.
Cut. Beautiful.
Seeing her bring all these special effects to life in such short time, she absolutely crushed it. We would be like, okay, we have to film this next effect about 5 minutes from now, so make it look like she got her neck slit open, please. And she'd be like, okay, I'll do it, yep. And she would just do it, and she would execute it. But also, just aside from all that, she was such a joy to have on set. She's just so upbeat, so happy, so positive. She actually filmed a lot of the behind-the-scenes footage as well, because she is immensely talented in that area as well.
I do not know what we would have done without her, because she, despite the limited time constraints that she had, she was able to do a really incredible, awesome job. And I'm super grateful to her and to the work that she put into it.
It just really meant a lot to me that they believed in me, and it was just a really good time.
Caitlin as Rose, who ended up being the killer, was such a fantastic twist, and I honestly did not see it coming when I first read the script. I love the psychological element that it adds to the film, and it's very unsuspecting. You don't look at her and think bad guy. She comes off very sweet, confident, but also, not a killer.
You really got to pay attention. Follow along, because there are some twists and turns in there that you're going to want to pay attention to. The big one with Rose, I mean, when I first read that, I was just like, whoa. And I think I even messaged Cody to be like, oh my God, I did not see that coming.
It's such an interesting film with the dynamic of Rose specifically. So like when I got the script and I was reading through it the first time and I was really understanding what was going on, I realized that I wasn't playing one character, I was playing three at different points in the story. And so it was important for me to make sure that I understood them all as separate identities, but also was able to merge them into one and make that more cohesive. I also, like, specifically with Arthur and that, I paid close attention to how Christian played Arthur's character, and I tried to incorporate that into my performance as well.
Do you know it's better than a day at the beach? A day in hell.
It was very challenging, but I thought it was really cool because it felt like 3 for the price of 1 a little bit. I got to explore and live in a couple of different characters.
Dr. Richardson's intentions for Rose's last session were primarily to get his daughter back at any cost. And at the beginning of the film, it seems like he's using poor Rose to do that. And then later we find out that Rose is actually his daughter. So for me, that was a major plot twist as I was reading through the script. It was actually initially a struggle. It was like, how do you act like just a therapist, but yet you're her father, but you don't want anybody to know that just yet. So that was a struggle for me. I think it was just separating the therapist from the father and then eventually it all merges together as the plot twist unfold and you realize, oh, Rose is his daughter and this therapist is a little crazy.
Patrick, he is an interesting guy. He's kind of playing this role of the therapist's just handyman, just anything he needs, basically, just to kind of cover up the whole scheme of what's going on. He had a lot of different moments in this film where he had to play a whole different character and where whole different kinds of sides of him came out. And for me, that was kind of like 4 things. Him playing this role for Rose to kind of help her cope. And that was like the handyman, the gardener, just basically just the therapist assistant. The second one is when he reveals that he is the son. That's like a big reveal for Rose and like her like realizing that. And then the next one is he reveals that he's actually her brother and that she is part of the family. And so that creates an even bigger dynamic. And the fourth one is when he is shot laying on the ground and he is currently being hypnotized by the therapist and saying, oh, he's the killer and he's the one that was behind all of this. Because I had a lot of fun playing this character because there's so many different types of him every time he's on screen. So it was a lot of fun. So
I really actually want people to understand at the end the choices that she makes. They're not just out of left field as she walks through the movie. There's actually reasons. Now they're a little crazy and she goes a little like off the deep end with them, I think. But she's a mom, right? So it's all rooted in, I think, that very animalistic, like motherly place, to be honest.
Please let him go.
What has he done with his life?
I don't think she does it the way that you should go about life, obviously. But yeah, I mean, she's in just animalistic mode, survival mode. She's a survivor, man. She does not fuck around.
One of the other things, aside from cameos, that I really love is Easter eggs, and this idea of putting these little hints and these little tidbits in the setting or in the dialogue or, somewhere in the film where people most likely will never see it, but it's there and someone may stumble upon it at some point. So there are fun little Easter eggs that we purposely put in the film. So at the beginning of the film, when Rose is coming to the house to have a therapy session, and she sees Clara for the first time, behind Clara or to the side of Clara, there's a whiteboard in the kitchen. And if you look closely, there is a message there that says, "Get Jennifer's medication." And it's a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment. And then below it, it says "Dinner with the Ottingers and the Crosbys," which is, obviously a shout out to Jessica and I. Another little fun Easter egg, or a hint, if you will, at the plot. At the beginning, Rose is painting her toenails and you see the nail polish for a brief second. And then later, when Clara sits her down at the dining room table, she's shaking the nail polish. That's the same nail polish bottle. So it's to try and kind of hint at the fact that they're in the same house. And then it's the same with the teacup. We're almost at the 12th hour, so I'm feeling it. It's our last shot, but I feel like there's gonna be more that we missed. It's always gonna be that feeling until I'm in the editing room and then I'm like, we missed it! No, we probably got it all. But yeah, it's been a great ride.
I feel really good that we made it here. I'm gonna be honest. No, it feels good, and I'm not gonna say that we're a little ahead of schedule because we still have one more shot to get. So
We've made it happen.
That is a wrap on Rose's last session, guys. Woo!